I have 7 questions in all, but they kind of triangulate one main theme, which as we go along, I think you will uncover.
Just ask, and sometimes the question will open doorways that neither of us expected to find en route.
I'll start with this one. For your understanding of it, define the term mass.
Define the term mass. But that is a question that requires an encyclopedic response in a dozen volumes. I would for the sake of clarity, expand your question slightly, but only slightly. With your permission, of course.
Yes.
I would rather define the term to play mass.
Yeah.
This verb is peculiar to the island of Trinidad. I have not heard this expression in all my travels and studies of theatre. And when I say theatre, I speak of it in its broadest terms. Musical theatre, opera, dance theatre, ballet, theatre indoors, theatre outdoors. The only place I have ever heard the verb to play the mass is in Trinidad. The verb is used casually by young and old, by carnivals of yore, and by people who, as far as I'm concerned, even though they're not really playing mass, they still say, "Child, you're playing a mass this year?" The verb to play the mass, there are 2 operatives here. To play. An actor plays a part. Plays are written by playwrights. Ever since the Greek amphitheatres were built and words were put into the mouths of masked actors in very formal comedies and tragedies, and the entire populace would sit in these extraordinarily designed amphitheatres, which to this day are still acoustically perfect. A play, an enactment of a drama of some sort or other. But then too, you interweave with that children at play. The playing of games. But the second part of the expression are going to play a mass, and it's M-A-S apostrophe, obviously a Trini abbreviation of M-A-S-K, a mask, or M-A-S-Q-U-E, the Elizabethan sense of a mask. Going to play a mass. You're playing mass this year? Yes, child. I'm playing a character in Minshall band. You're playing in Minshall band? But you don't know if you play mass in Minshall band, you're going to get AIDS? Hush your mouth now. I'm not going and fuck with the man. It's mass I'm going and play with thee. To play is mass. Now going and play with he. It's on its bended knees. It begs for you to understand that it is a serious form of theatre. And it has an extraordinary distinction. In all those aforementioned forms, ballet, opera, legit theatre where the actor learns words, the Euripides, Sophocles, all of those, early playwrights, drawing room comedies, Agatha Christie, thrillers. In every other aspect of the known theatre, apparel plays a secondary or supportive role. The costume designer designs a costume in consultation with the director for the character Othello, for the character Hamlet, for the character Desdemona in the opera Othello, for Mr. Nijinsky to be the faun in the L'après-midi, for Mr. Nuria, for Mr. Baryshnikov to be Romeo in the grand production of Romeo and Juliet. In the mass, however, the apparel is the primary force. I am playing that which I wear. What I wear is primary both in terms of character, but also in form and function. Now I get very impatient and sometimes driven to despair and anger by those among us who want to anthropologically approach the carnival and say, well, this came from here and that came from Hollywood movies and this came from Africa and that came from India. Please, it is high time, and we are past puberty and adolescence now. We are grown-ups. Culturally, this island is far more progressive than it is politically, in spite of what many say. Now, the politics has deeply affected the expressions of the people. It is no small thing that the carnival has given itself over, by and large, to an era that doesn't rise in ambition above the tackiest level of a Las Vegas show. But I don't think this is the fault of the carnival, nearly so much as this is the fault of the cultural depths to which the society has sunk, where people are guided and ennobled by notions of wealth and power. And you see it in the mass. It is fashionable these days, even amongst the intelligentsia, to say that carnival is a death of culture, and people will cite racist calypsos and degenerative mass and songs that are blatantly sexual. I beg to disagree. Carnival isn't the death of culture. It is the culture that is the death of carnival. It is because the society is racist, it is because the society is given over to debauchery that it seeks expression in the carnival. The carnival is a beautiful, even though it is shattering, a perfect mirror of exactly where the society is. If the people are at the top are visibly seen to be lunatic, to be crooked, and to be given to theft in broad daylight, what do you expect? I've wandered away. The people are really playing a good mass, boy. As repugnant as it might be, it is not nearly as repugnant as where we have come after 50 so-called years of independence. We copycat more now when we are supposedly independent than we did before. and even with the feathers and beads.
Yep.
What we wear is brilliantly what we are. Let us take the bat. You know I so love the bat? He bears a big invisible sign that announces to the world, made in Trinidad. I have never seen, again, in my travels and in my experience, people have done vampire costumes in Europe and bat costumes, and Victorian ladies in their skirts have had little bat wings. But you see a fella who gets up and the wing attaches from his ankle all up seamed into the side of his body, under his armpits, all up to his wrist where it is extended with a cane. And he has taken the bat of nature and checked out the way nature or God or whatever constructed this creature, and he has sought guidance from it and made changes where changes were necessary. And unless this bundle of cloth and cane is on a human being, it could really fold up and carry like an umbrella under your arm. But you put a human being in it and you play a little music, and he pirouettes in the dry season savannah dust, and pure magic happens. He plays the mass. And what it is, a piece of dull brown or grey or white cloth with some slivers of cane or bamboo in seams, and he dances it into life. Made in Trinidad. The Midnight Robber. Please, there are big hat, Eskimos wear big hats, people in Africa wear big hats, there's a big hat mask somewhere in Japan, whatever. But you see, the whole of the Midnight Robber, where his big hat, invariably when I was a child, was a tombstone after the fashion of the Taj Mahal. So something of the Jose that would happen in St. James made a crossover into the carnival, because it was a gravestone, a tomb on his head. And what, I have to get her to do this. It's a good thing you do have the camera. It'll probably only take half my body. But the Midnight Robber. It is wonderful how the mass informs the playing of it. A Midnight Robber. I asked some people, there's some students of dance, they didn't get it until I said, the Midnight Robber comes upon his prey on the pavement, and he has this swaying motion. Get out of my way, you mocking pretender, and the feet going bam, and look at the head stain just so. And why does he have this gait from side? Why? Because he's balancing a battleship of a hat on his head. So he goes so, and if it drops, and the fringe of the hat will only quiver. And invariably he has a Midnight Robber version of a child's piggy bank. Only his is not a pig, it's a coffin, and a space there for the dollar bills. Dollar bills, eh? Don't give me no small change, or I'm really going to take your life instead of your money. The Midnight Robber costumes of my youth, which is about 60 years ago, giving nothing away. They were beautifully made. The capes were embroidered with doves and quotations from the Bible, Armageddon this, the sewing, the embroidery, the shoes. The sole of the foot would be raised, and off the front of the shoe would come a great cobra head with little batteries in the eyes blinking on and off. The man really was playing the mass, and it is one of the few mass ever played that also used words to communicate. While we're on the subject, let me say, I'm glad the word communicate came up. Every time I have to talk about the Mass, I have come up with this quote. People must be tired of him and that again. Yes, him and that again. Maria Callas, an extraordinary actress, an extraordinary singer, and the drama and the voice were super extraordinary when she was on form. She said, art is the highest form of human communication, and music is the highest form of art. I totally concur. Now, Mass, invariably, of necessity, happens and is played to music. But the communicative strength and power of the Mass is not one that rests in the womb of contemplation. Mass communicates with the power and muscle and thrust of 100 yards dash. Its excitement is almost over before you feel the rush. It is like a sunset. It is there 1 minute and gone the next. It's a visual experience. Now, visual does not necessarily mean eye candy. Visual can be horrific.